So success in network marketing has allowed your husband to retire, has allowed you to buy a car that you could have paid cash for, but you're making large monthly payments and pay it off early. You travel a lot. You're able to help.
Us to help people, too, and we've been able to help our kids. They get in bad situations, and we've been able to pay things for them and loan them money and stuff and help them. We're going to give them a big chunk of money for my grandson to go to Italy in a couple of months. I couldn't have done that before. We would have had to take out a loan to do that, and now I don't have anything, you know.
So today on the call we have Diane Walker, also known as MLM Blonde, and Diane is a distributor for Send Out Cards, a very successful distributor, and today we have her on the phone to talk about how she became so successful in Send Out Cards. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
To demonstrate to others that anybody in any stage of life can build a successful business, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Oh, sure. Okay, I was in accounting for a defense contractor. I stayed home when the kids were growing up when they were littler, and then I went to work when they got into school, and I went to work for a defense contractor. I loved it. But then, you know, everything cut back, and they started downsizing. This was years ago, back in the 90s. They started downsizing, and it got to be a job that I used to love. I now hated to go in because it was just that kind of environment where they were laying off people right and left, and you didn't know whose job you were going to get next or if you were going to be walked out the door. And so ended up over the years, they went from 2,800 down to today. They sold the company twice, and they're down to about 300 people. And I saw the handwriting on the wall back then. I didn't want to be retirement age and having to be looking for a job. So I started looking for something else to do and was introduced to network marketing. I started that on the side, but in the meantime, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. So I also had my resume on the street, and I found another job with another company, took a $10,000 cut in pay just so I had time to get out of that environment and be able to start my business on the side. So I started network marketing, and for years I didn't know what I was doing. So I read a lot of books and researched on the internet, made a lot of mistakes, and went from there and built, you know, a business. We did really well until the company went out of business. So I had to start over. But then each time I started over, I learned things along the way that made it much easier.
And what kinds of things that you learned?
I learned, you know, to do research, you know, that grass isn't always greener. You know, you start a company and then you not knowing what you're doing, people would come along and say, oh, well, if you're doing this, you should look at this. And, you know, you can turn around and your head's spinning so much because you're jumping from this to that. And, you know, the grass isn't always greener and what they say isn't always true. So I learned to do my homework on the company and who's behind the company. Who's running that company and how many companies did they run before? Maybe they started one and, you know, had a lot of situations where they went out of business and started over and over and over as a company. So you want to know the company and the products, you know, are the products something you could believe in? So I was over the early years, I was in a lot of health and nutrition companies, and I love health and nutrition products. You know, I use them, so I thought that's a fit, but, you know, it's really hard because there's a lot of competition out there. And then I got in telecommunications for about 7 years. And the product was long distance, cell phones, things like that. And, you know, long distance used to be 25 cents a minute, so they had a pretty decent profit margin. Well, over the years, it went to zero. So if you have a product that's zero, you pretty much don't make a lot of commissions on zero. And then the owner of the company died, you know, and so he was really a really great guy, and he died, and I thought, oh, my gosh, you have to look for another company. About the same time, I found Send Out Cards, just right before he died, I think. And I just fell in love with the product and the opportunity itself because it was something where it wasn't that we had, a zillion people doing it. We didn't have anybody doing cards. And I sent cards anyway because I sent cards. That's how I built a lot of my businesses and relationships over the years before Send Out Cards, is I used to send cards, and I did them all by hand. So I thought this is a good fit for me.
So you send cards to people you did not know I mean, or that you had met and you were just building a relationship with them at the time.
Yeah, my customers and my businesses that I was building, I would send them cards, and I would, remember their birthday, and I used to write it down, and I'd send them birthday cards, or I'd just send them a thinking of you card, or, somebody would say, when I was talking to them, maybe they had a death in their family or a wedding, or I would send them cards, and I used to go to the store, and I would buy shoeboxes full of cards, and I'd file them by category. And never failed. Something would happen. I'd go to get a card, and that card just didn't fit that person. And I couldn't adjust the card. It's already made. I'd go back to the store and buy more cards. So it was a really good fit for me when I found send-out cards.
What kind of an impact do you think those cards had on people?
Oh, a really good impact, because it's, how rare, most of the time people send an email or e-card. First year e-cards came out, I loved them. I thought they were the cutest little things, but then when you get 10,000 of them, you don't love them so much anymore. And then with viruses and all that. But when you get a real card in the mail, and somebody's thinking of you, they took the time to keep in touch with you, and it makes a big difference.
People will respond favorably. They'd call you, say thank you, and find out what more you're doing?
No, at the time I was sending them thank you cards because they were my customers in my existing business, and they'd call and thank me for the card, and we'd chat, and we'd build a relationship, because network marketing is all about relationships and helping other people. The time back then, I was helping them with their health. They would feel better, and they'd like the products bad, and I was helping those that wanted to build a business. So I had people that were customers, and I had people that were distributors, just much like send out cards. I have customers and I have distributors both, but I still have a relationship with both sides of the fence. I help my customers as well as my distributors.
When you first got started in network marketing, who introduced you to the business?
The first time? Oh, my goodness. You can't believe that. I was looking for something because I was so discouraged with the company that I was with and the job and working so many hours. And I came home one day and got a letter in the mail, and it was a letter that stood out. It wasn't like junk mail. It was like letter quality on resume type paper, and it had this letter, and it said, I almost lost everything. I lost my job due to an accident, and it intrigued me because it said, and then I found this, and now my family is wealthy, and blah blah blah. So, and it had an 800 number on it that you could call, and I thought, gee, usually if you get junk mail, you don't get junk mail and nice letters like that with a real stamp and all. And so I called, and back then I wouldn't talk to anybody on the phone. I was very shy. And so I called, and they told me, it was network marketing, but they assured me I didn't ever have to talk to anyone on the phone. I didn't have to take a phone call. They did it all for you. All you did is mail letters. They taught you how to mail letters like this, and they would build this business for you. Well, I was real naive. I didn't know any better. I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. And we joined, and it was a company. It was a health and nutrition company they were representing. But, I thought, well, if I don't have to talk to anybody, all I have to do is mail these letters. That's what I'll do. So they told you how to mail the letters and buy these leads lists or whatever they sold you, and you'd mail these letters to them. I'd mail 40, 50 letters a day, that you'd printed on this paper, and then I'd call and say, well, how is my business doing? And they said, oh, you have 20 people. And I said, oh, really? That's great. And I'd be mailed, well, when am I going to get a check? So I didn't know, So one day I was at work, and I was walking down to get a Coke in a coffee shop with my friend from another department. And they had this, like a mail station there, like a mailbox where you could mail your regular mail when you go to work. So I'd have these letters all stamped, and I'd mail them every day. I'd be mailing some when I came in, but I never talked to anybody about it. And she said, you have a lot of mail. I said, oh, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to build this business on the side so I can get out of that company. Everybody wanted to get out of that back then. So she said, really? Well, how does it work? And I said, I don't know. You just mail the letters, and there's an 800 number, and I'll bring you a letter tomorrow. You can call and ask them the rest. So she did. She did. She took the letter and she mailed it. She called the number, and she told me, they're going to send me some information in the mail. And I said, oh, good. Let me see what they send you, because I didn't know. And I just knew they were building this business, or so I thought. And she came in about a week later, and the stuff they sent her wasn't even in the company I was with. And the person that they put me under, I got to meet her, because they put you under people in it. And we became long-term friends. We still are today. And I said, well, are you getting the same results? And she was. So we said she was a phone solicitor at her job. And she said, well, why don't we do the same thing? We'll just mail the letters, and I'll talk to people about the thing. I said, as long as you talk to them, I'll mail all the letters. So we did that, and we did build a small business, got to where maybe $500-600 a month, nothing major. But we just figured it was before the Internet. That wasn't Internet then, or we didn't know of the Internet. And she'd call the people, and then we'd actually mail them some stuff about the company, and then we'd sign them up. It was kind of archaic, but we just made our own way because we didn't know any better. So then I started reading books, and then the Internet came along, and I thought, well, I don't get home from work till 8 o'clock at night. Where am I going to go? I wasn't going to go to hotel meetings or something. So I started on the Internet by trial and error, and I started meeting people online and worked out. I didn't know what I was doing, but I'd chat with them online, and eventually I got where I talked to someone on the phone, and I went from there.
When you became a member of Send Out Cards, was that through a friend?
Yeah, actually it was a guy from my downline in my phone business years and years ago, and he knew me, and he had been introduced to it a couple of months before, and he sent me a birthday card with a card in it for Send Out Cards. We used to have these little account cards. And right away I thought, what are you trying to sell me? Because I actually had gone on and built another health company. So I called him and I said, thank you for the card, but are you trying to sell me something? He said, oh, no. He said, I know how much you send cards. And he said, I thought this would be perfect business for you to add, not to be as a business, but you can be a customer, or you could just do that and use that, to grow your business. And that's what he was doing at the time. He was using it for his customers and his clients and in a business he had. And so I said, thank you. And then I didn't try it. He didn't show me anything about it. He just said, you can try the card when you need to send a card. We were going to go on vacation, so I set it on my desk. A couple months later, I had some cards to send out when we came back, and I looked at it, logged on, and followed the directions on the card. It was so simple. I went, oh, my gosh. So I called him up, and I said, how do you make money with this? This is awesome. And he said, really don't know much about how you make money. He just knew that he had signed up, and he was using it, and he had a couple of customers that wanted to use it, and he just figured it would pay his marketing expenses in his business. So at the time, I said, well, I'm going to know more about this. I thought it was cool. And so when we found out about the company, and I signed up, and then I just started sharing it with people because it was so cool. Because it didn't matter. I wasn't limited like I was in health and nutrition. If you were in a health and nutrition company, I love them, but I wouldn't come to you and say, oh, my product's better than yours, or join mine, you make more money. I don't do things like that. So I was limited. If I knew you were in another company, I really didn't talk to you. But with this Send Out Cards, I could talk to you and show you how I was using it and how you could benefit your customers and your business. You could just be a customer and use it, or you could make a little side income to pay for your marketing expenses. So I thought it was the best thing ever, and I just started talking to people.
And the people you were talking to are your customers, distributors, and just other people you meet. You are listening to an interview on Richard DeHaven's MLMSuccessStories.com.
No, I never talked to my distributors. My customers I did, but I never talked to distributors. When I was in my health company, I didn't talk to them about Send Out Cards because I didn't feel right doing that. I respect that they have a team too, and you just don't do that. I didn't move from one company like you hear and then jump over and start another company. I was doing them both at the time when I started, but totally separate. My customers, I showed them, and my friends, I showed them how they could save money on their cards that they were using it. But Send Out Cards, I started from scratch with the relationships I built years ago online. I mean, online and offline. I met a lot of people through network marketing, and even my boss at my last company, the company that we worked 80 hours a week, I showed her, and she actually joined for a little bit. She started, but she was overworked so much. She was up to like 7 days a week practically, and after all those years, I've been in Send Out Cards 8 years now. I think last year she got up to controller of the company, and they let her go. And I just knew I'd be at that retirement age, and would be out looking for a job, and I didn't want that to happen. So she couldn't find a job. She had to move all the way across the coast to California just to find a job. Because at that level, there's not many positions out there.
You said you started Send Out Cards and you built it from scratch just from people you've met over the Internet and whatever other area you met. Were you marketing on the Internet, or were you just participating in the forums, or were you talking to people that you've already talked to before? Or?
Well, in the beginning, I just made a list of everybody I knew from the past, not people in my business that I was doing, but people that I knew from the past and people I'd worked with years ago or things like that. And I started calling them, and I said, hey, you got a few minutes? I got something to show you. It's really, really cool, and don't worry, I'm not trying to take you away from what you're doing. I think this will help you make what you're doing better. And they took a look at it, and they, wow, this is really cool. So they signed up. So I just started building that way, and then the people that wanted to build, I worked with them and showed them what I was doing. It was like they say, make a list. I always thought, well, I just immediately thought this was a product I had that I wanted to share with everybody that I knew. I thought it would benefit them. So it wasn't about me. It was about the product helping them.
So a lot of them were distributors of other companies that you had met along the way, your journey.
Some were totally not even in network marketing. Some were business people that I deal with, insurance agents or a realtor or people that work on your house. Everybody I came in contact with, I showed them.
At the time, how many people do you think you were talking to a day?
Goodness. In the early days, I was signing up a lot of people because I was so excited about it, and I had, so many people that I had to talk to. I guess I built for about 4 or 5 months, and I had a pretty good-sized team. And then I thought, I love this so much. I would be brokenhearted if something happened to this. So I decided I wanted to go out and see the company. So I called up, and they used to have their seminars only out in Utah, and the next one was like in January. So I asked, well, I want to come, so I need an exact date so I could come. I decided to go out and look at the company. And I remember back then I went, and some of my friends thought, well, if you're going, I want to go. We ended up having maybe a dozen people went with me, and we went to see the company. And back then it was in a garage. They had one little printer and a Xerox and a stamp machine. That was the biggest thing they had back then. I remember talking to the CEO, Cody, and I said, gee, what if we get a lot of people and that won't print? And he said, oh, no. He had a business model even back then. Said, when we get this much, we'll add another printer, we'll do this. And they haven't missed a beat, really, in that regard. In 2007, they moved into the new building that they have now, and they have a huge facility. They can handle the volume now.
Did you do any advertising, any promotion at the beginning of Send Out Cards when you first started?
Other than, maybe like a booth in a little show or something, or talking to people, I didn't do any advertising like print advertising and stuff like that, or like the affiliate type advertising online. I didn't do anything like that. I talked to people and asked for referrals and built from there. Some of the customers I have give me a lot of referrals. Some of them, maybe they don't want to do a business for whatever reason themselves. They don't have to. But a lot of times, if you give good customer service, they'll give you referrals, and they'll introduce you to other people.
After they've said no, not interested, then you would ask them for a referral?
No, these are people that are already using the system, or friends of mine. Like I get referrals from them, maybe people that aren't going to do the business, because sometimes your family and your friends are the worst people to do business with, but a lot of times they love you, so they'll support you.
Do you have family involved in your business?
My kids do. Yeah, they have an account, but they don't really work it. They're your kids. Your kids don't look at you like a business person. They look at you to give them money or support them, but what do you know? You're their mom.
You know nothing. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I've seen people that have their kids working with them, and the kids are more excited than them sometimes. My kids just don't get it. We raised our kids wrong, I think. In today's world, we raised them to go to school and go to college and get a job, just like I was raised. But then when with all the things we went through with the company, when it was downsizing and all, I thought there's got to be another way. I really do believe our job market here is drying up. So we have to have a way to reach out to people and help them and give them something they can do.
You're a perfect example that there is another way. I know you've been building a very successful business and send out cards. You are now an executive?
I'm a senior executive.
Senior executive, yes, which is the top before Eagles, right?
Yes, it is.
How has your success in network marketing changed your life?
Well, I thought about that the other day. When I used to have a job, I worked a lot of hours, and, of course, we made a lot of overtime, but it wasn't much money. It wasn't all that much money. With the overtime I had, we never had any freedom. We never had any time to do anything, because if I took a vacation, they were really good at my company if I needed a couple of days off, but you had to make up your work before and after. So if you took a vacation, you actually worked the days you were taking off anyway, because you had to work before and after. So you had no time freedom. And then when I jumped ship and went to the other company, so I had more time, I took a big cut in pay to do that, and so I had time off, but then I couldn't spend the money. My husband at the time was in construction, and he was he's working, where they made good money, and then he would be out of work for like 2 or 3 months because it was union construction. And then over the years he went to work for the sheriff's office, so then he had a steady paycheck, but it wasn't a great big paycheck. So we lived paycheck to paycheck. We really didn't have a lot. We didn't do a lot. And, now with network marketing, you can take the business with you wherever you want to go. Before network marketing, I'd been on a plane one time in my whole life, and I took my daughter to New York for her when she was 16 for her club that she won some kind of award for. And that was the first time I'd ever been on a plane in my whole life, because we were always working and never had any time. So now I've been to almost every state in the U.S. I've been to Ireland. I've been to Aruba. I've been to Mexico. I've been all over. I travel someplace at least 4, 5, 6 times a year. And it doesn't matter where I am, because you can take the business with you. You can still answer calls. You can still do email, and you can see the world and enjoy what you're doing. And I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't have any bills today at all, so I can do what I want to do. I have everything paid off, except we just bought a new car last August. I was going to pay cash for it, and then they made us an offer we couldn't refuse, and they gave us no interest, too. I guess they were trying to sell cars, and so I asked my accountant, and he said, no, take the zero interest, but it's driving me nuts. I cannot stand having to make a payment. So I've been paying like $2,000 or $3,000 a month on it. I think I'm paid up 2 years already. But he said, no, don't do that. Use their money. I said, yeah, but I got to send them their money. So it's just giving you more freedom. We'd be able to do things we wanted to do and travel, see different things.
So success in network marketing has allowed your husband to retire, has allowed you to buy a car that you could have paid cash for, but you're making large monthly payments. You can pay it off early. You travel a lot. You're able to help.
Us to help people, too, and we've been able to help our kids. They get in bad situations, and we've been able to pay things for them and loan them money and stuff and help them. We're going to give them a big chunk of money for my grandson to go to Italy in a couple of months. I couldn't have done that before. We would have had to take out a loan to do that, and now I don't have anything.
That's really awesome, because you're at that point that a lot of people who get involved in network marketing dream about. You've been able to create that.
That's what they say. On the other hand, I think, I'm at that point, but I'm just an average, everyday person. Not do anything special, and I'm just really stubborn. So when I made mistakes and stuff, and I was bound and determined I was going to keep working in network marketing, because there are ups and downs. People get discouraged, or they come in and somebody says boo and they quit, or somebody says. People don't want to blame themselves sometimes when they will quit, so they have to make excuses, and they say it doesn't work or something like that. But it does work if you work it. If you are stubborn and determined to make it happen, it will happen if you stick things out.
And do you have a particular system that you follow to recruit and sponsor?
Right. Well, right now, Send Out Cards has come out with an awesome training program. It's just very, very basic, and anybody that follows that system can do it. We have all the tools in place. We show people a video. We let them try out the system themselves, and if they like the system, they've got 2 choices. They can be a customer, or they can make money with it, and it's their choice. I don't hog tie anybody to come in.
It sounds to me that you're very easygoing and laid back. You do what you need to do, and great if you join, great if you don't.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing in network marketing. Too many people go out and just try to sell someone on it. If it's not for you, I'm not going to twist your arm to get in. I'm here, and I'll stay in touch with you. And, if you decide you're going to join or work the business, I support people in that. If they decide it's not for them, it's not a personal decision. I mean, they're not mad at me just because it's not for them.
Right.
And I'm not mad at them. It's just they have to make a decision what they want out of life and where they want to go.
At any time during your send-out cards career, did you use the Internet to build a business with the cold market to generate leads?
Of course. I meet people all the time on the Internet. Social media is a great place now with all the things they have. You can meet people all over the world, and you can communicate with people all over the world. And Facebook, for example, that's a good place to reconnect with people you had. Maybe you went to school with them years ago. Think, gosh, what happened to this person? You can usually find them on Facebook and catch up with them and see what's happening in their lives and reconnect with everybody. So it's a great place, to meet people, introduce them to what you're doing, and it may be for them, it may not be.
You actually talk to people that you connect with that you've known in the past.
I just reconnected with an old friend from elementary school, and it's really funny. I was thinking about her, and I found her on Facebook, and we connected, and we've been meeting for lunch. She lives in another city, but close by. 6 months out of the year, and 6 months she lives someplace else, and I've had a really good time. And she's retired from her job, and they live in 2 different places, and she's not looking for something to do, but she sent me a couple of referrals, and she tells people about it. I'm thinking, well, that's great, and we've reconnected and had a lot of fun.
That's wonderful. Do you enroll people you have no idea who they are?
I've had people sign up that I didn't know who they were. I got an email that they signed up, and I called them, and they found me on the web someplace, and then I connect with them and see how I can help them and what they want to do. I want to find out what their goals are. Maybe they're just coming in here just to make a couple $100 a month. Maybe they want to make a couple of $1,000 a month. That's up to the person, what their goals are and what they want to do. But I connect to them and show them how to use the system, and there's lots of people on my team that I never knew before. And it's kind of neat to make new friends all over. So no matter where you go, there's somebody you can go and visit or have lunch with.
Do you have a consistent plan that you follow each day on building your business?
No, I'm not very organized, honestly. I'm not. I have to keep my notebook or put something in front of me to remind me to do things. I'm not really consistent at all. I'm consistent in that I do something for my business every day, but I'm not really a consistent person. Like I say, I'm going to sit down from this time to this time and do this. I'm not.
But you do something with your business every day.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And what would that be?
Well, follow-up phone calls, connecting with people, sending cards, training people that are on the team, taking phone calls and helping them. I get a lot of phone calls, helping people build their business. But I do that every day. If I'm out of town and stuff, I usually talk to people. If they have a question, they'll call me, or I answer emails. And we do a weekly training call every Tuesday night. Our training call is the most consistent because I know I have to do that at that time, but I'm not really scheduled.
To me, it sounds like the perfect MLM business, just very laid back. Do what you need to do and not worry about it. There are others I've been interviewing. They have the lead generation website, buy all the marketing manuals out there, courses about how to build a business on Facebook and how to do this, all that stuff that's out there.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and that works for some people, but I'm thinking an average person isn't going to do that, and I'm pretty much as average as they get. Even if I had to do all those courses, I probably wouldn't finish them because it's just too overwhelming. I've seen some systems out there where they have, you buy this and you use this, then you buy this, and then you buy this, and why am I buying all this stuff? Because if I'm buying this and then I got to introduce it to you, you got to buy it too. That would take too much time away from building my business, just introducing you to all these things you got to buy. I don't sell anything to my downline. We do have my sponsor has a site that he built that, has helpful training and stuff like that, and then we have the corporate sites, and we point them to them because we're training them in how to build the business that they're in. Why do I need to try to sell them something else? Just not me.
Right. We have a few minutes left here, but I wanted to ask you, when someone signs up, they say, okay, I'm going to become a distributor, I want to build a send-out cards business. What are the first steps that you take them through? For more interviews like this, go to Richard DeHaven's MLMSuccessStories.com.
Well, the first thing I take them through, I would show them how to use the system, how to send a card, and I would take them to we have a customer gathering worksheet, and I would take them there and help them get their first couple of customers or 3 or 4 customers, and then show them exactly what to do, take them to the basic training, to how to get started and how to look for distributors and sponsor train, and then teach them how to do what I'm doing. I'm doing something they can't do. They're probably either going to have to figure out their own thing like I did in the beginning, or they're not going to be too successful. So I keep it to the very basics.
The basics is what the company provides.
Yeah, they provide that, and we provide training too, forms and all the stuff. It's all there. We have websites that have the video, 3-minute video explains the product on the site. And then they can set up a customer account right there. They can be a customer while they're looking at the business, and they'll be using the system, and they'll know more when they become a distributor. They're already a customer. They'll learn more about the system. Then they don't have that learning curve to go through. Because anything you start, you're going to have to take time to learn. You know, if you don't, you're not going to be very successful if you're not willing to learn how to build your business. And in this industry, for me to flash a check and tell you I make $200,000 a month or something, you know, you go, whoa, or $1 billion, and, you know, you think, oh, wow. And then you come in and you expect to make that next week. You know, it's totally unrealistic. You know, it's not realistic at all, but it's also unethical, I think, because, you know, you can make as much as or little as you want in any company out there if you're willing to put forth the time and the effort. Network marketing, it's up to you. It's not like you have a job and I make $10 an hour, you know, or something.
Right.
Your income depends on you. But what I make, you can't spend, and I can't spend what you make, so it doesn't make any difference.
Right, exactly. So what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when they first join network marketing?
When they first join? I think they don't have realistic expectations. I think they're led in by somebody that, you know, indicates they're going to make a lot of money, and they think that they don't work, or else they don't know what to do because the person that signed them up is gone the next day, so they don't work and they don't stick with it. And I think they make mistakes because they need to be trained, and I think one of the things they do is they get really excited and they go out and talk to everybody, their mom, their dad, their brother, the dog, and the cat, and they try to sell them, you know, and they never shut up like, oh, hey, I got this great product, and you got to try it, and blah, 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 blah. And they don't give the person a chance to say anything themselves. And people like to buy, but they don't like to be sold. So you want to listen to them and see what their need is first. Help them with something they need. You're 90% of the way there. But then they go out and they do that, and then people say no, and then they get, oh my gosh, this person said no. Just move on. That person's not right for them. He's not rejecting you. They just don't want to do that, or they don't see themselves going out and presenting the business the way you just presented it.
Do you encourage your people that you enroll to talk to their warm market first?
No, not until they go. I encourage them not to talk to anybody until we talk and we go through things so they know what they're going to say to them. Because if they go out, like I have people that think they want to sign up, but they're not signed up yet, and they're going to, well, I'm going to go talk to 5 or 6 people. And I say, no, don't talk to anybody, because you're going to go talk to 5 or 6 people, and they're going to not know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're showing anyway. You don't have anything to show. And they go, well, that sounds good. Now, where do I get one? Well, I don't know. I haven't signed up yet. That's not really, that doesn't do you any good. I always tell people when they sign up not to talk to anybody, right, until we go through and train them, you know, and what to say, and do a couple of calls with them or show them what to do, because otherwise they don't know what to do. They go out, hey, I just signed up, blah, blah, blah. I think they kill a lot of people. They do them a disservice because they really didn't get to look at the business themselves. They're judging it by what that person said to them.
What's one of the things that you would tell them to say to somebody once they start calling people?
I would have them set an appointment that, you know, respect their time and set an appointment for the time that they can speak to them. and then I would take them and show them. First, I'd show them our system so they know how to use it, and then I'd take them. We already have a training worksheet that gives them exactly what to say on it step by step, and I help them get a couple of customers. Think of the people that know and love and trust you that would try your product for $10 or something, and help them get a couple of customers to get started, and then take it from there. Because a lot of times customers that love our system are satisfied customers. They have somebody that asks them about a card they sent or asks them about it themselves. They may end up wanting to do the business themselves.
And then you just go from there. They start
Exactly.
building. And okay. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
You build a customer base, and you build a base of distributors with people that want to be distributors. You tell me you don't want to be a distributor or you don't want to do this. You're too busy in your job, but you don't want to use the service. Why did I drive you away and not let you use the service? Because you told me you didn't want to do that. I'm not going to twist your arm and say, oh, you got to do that. You want to treat people like you want to be treated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. One of the things that I hear from you is that you don't have to become this super person or this mega salesperson to build a successful network marketing business. You can still be yourself, learn training, learn some specific, but still remain yourself and don't sell, but build relationships.
Exactly. You don't want to be a salesperson. I think in network marketing, salespeople don't do as well unless they're willing to be coachable and learn not to sell. And that's a hard thing. If you're used to selling a used car and you're used to really being pushy, you're not probably going to do well in network marketing. Because if you have to drag someone in and hog tie them to bring them in your business and they just sign up just to get rid of you, they're going to disappear and not take your phone calls, and they're not going to work it anyway. You know, you want people that really want to be there. If they don't want to be there, why would you want to drag them in?
Right. And it's okay.
It's okay. There's plenty of people out there. You don't have to drag people in that don't get it or don't want to do this.
How many people have you personally enrolled?
Oh, over in send-out cards or over the years?
In send-out cards.
Probably about maybe 200 or something, 200 or so.
Oh, wow.
But that's over almost 8 years.
Okay.
It's not that many people if you get like maybe a person every month, sometimes maybe two a month. The numbers add up over time.
Do you know approximately how many you have in your downline now?
6,000, 7,000. I don't know right now.
Okay.
The business office.
But it's up there.
We don't have. It's quite a few, but I don't know the exact number today.
Okay. Out of the 200 or so that you've personally enrolled, how many of them do you think are still doing the business?
That's a good question. Probably maybe doing the business 150, 60. Some of them are just like distributor kind of customers. They're just using the system.
Okay.
This is an odd business in this respect because in most network marketing companies, the attrition's a lot higher. And this, when people aren't working it, they still keep using the system, or they don't renew their distributorship, so they have a customer count, and then they'll come back. They'll come back. Oh, I want to work now. It's funny.
You've had people who've joined you and don't do anything with the business and then come back later and start building. That's
very normal in all network marketing companies. Sometimes, the one that I remember the most, it was in another company. We signed up this girl, and she was so excited. I mean, she was ready to get going. And she signed up. It was one night, and the next day I called her to help her. She didn't answer her phone. She didn't email us. And I kept calling, and I thought, gosh. I sent her a card, called her, emailed her for a good 6 months. Never heard from her. And then I left messages on the phone. Well, we heard from her like 7 or 8 months later. Mm-hmm. Come to find out, the next morning she was in a car accident and was critically injured and was in the hospital in intensive care for like a couple of months. And so, of course, she wasn't getting my messages. And it was but it was a good 6 months. And then she actually started working the business later. But it was like you never know what's happening in someone's life. If they're across the country, or maybe you just met them, or they found your site online and you're working with them and they just disappear. Well, you don't know what's happening in someone's life. Somebody that's ill in their family and they got distracted. Lots of things happen in life to take people away from things.
Right. And the term that I hate so much with a passion, when I hear the term being used, deadbeat distributors.
Oh, I do too. I mean, because you don't know what's going on in their life. It's not that they don't want to do that. It may just be that something happened.
Right.
And it can happen to anybody.
What would you tell somebody who is terrified of talking to people or has any fears of calling their friends or family after they've gone through the initial trainings?
Well, I was there myself. I didn't talk to anybody for years. So you say, well, let's call a couple of people together. I'll call with you, or you can send them an email or send them a card. But you're going to have to really, eventually, you learn to talk to people. But you read books and you get better at what you're doing. I'm still a back row person. You don't see me a lot of things. Not my style, I guess. I lead from behind. I just never have a desire. I mean, some people have a desire to be a great public speaker and be on stage in front of millions of people, and that's just not me. So even if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. So if I can do this, anybody can.
I did see a picture of you standing in front of a room speaking on your website. Or you're standing behind a podium.
Probably so. Or, maybe we had a party or something. We have a party at a convention one year, and let's see, we did have a couple of trainings here where they call me up. I might be up there 10 minutes of that. It's just not me, and not something I really desire to do or anything. And I feel like that you should be able to do what you want to do and build your business the way you want to build it. And send out cards is great. They don't make you do anything you don't want to do. They're really good.
Anything else that you like to tell people out there who are getting started or who are thinking about getting started in any network marketing business?
Yeah, whatever you do, if you get started, the one thing that stuck with me, I found when I first got started, I found somebody wrote it someplace, and I don't know who did, but it said, quitters never win and winners never quit. Well, I say, well, you have a choice. If you want to start, you want to be determined to stick with it at least a year or two and give it your best effort. You don't want to start something and quit, and I don't want to be a quitter, so I'm sticking with it. And you may find that when you join a company, you may have joined a company that you find later isn't right for you, or something's not right, and you have to start over, pick another company, do it. But don't give up on network marketing, because it's the only way I know today where we can help millions of people, become free and be able to live their own lives without having to be stuck in a job that they hate, or even not have a job and they can't find one. I think we have the answer for a lot of people.
What makes a great sponsor?
I think a great sponsor is somebody that doesn't just sign up people and leave them, but they're there to support them, help them get started, and if you can picture like a mother when a baby is new, you have to do everything for it, but then you have to teach them to grow and do things on their own. So you have to get them started and be there to support them, and then not kick them out of the nest and leave them forever, but you're always there to help, but you have to teach them to become independent.
And you're there to help them with their new people also.
Because they're new.
Right.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Eventually you kick them out of the nest.
Yeah, eventually they have people, you want to help them grow. And to help them grow, they have to teach people to do what they're doing. So duplication is critical.
Thank you so much, Diane, for giving me the opportunity to interview you. And like I said, you've always been a mentor. I always read your stuff, and you're an inspiration because there's so much out there. You have to be this big leader, like you're saying, this big, speaker and all that to succeed, but that's not true.
I don't think it is.
Yeah. If we're talking to average, everyday people who have kids and life and this and that, we're telling them that they can build a business, well, we should expect them to be able to do that without having to become this big six-figure leader.
Well, yeah, you don't have to. You can do it in your own time. And if somebody is just starting out and they don't have a lot of time, if you are serious, you want to carve out 15 to 30 minutes a day to do something on your business, which means taking a list, not cleaning your office, but introducing your business and showing your business to one person a day, if it takes 15 minutes, Just little bits of time. If you only have an hour a day, and you may not even have it at this whole hour, just go 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there. I did that in the beginning when I was working. I worked, it was only about 5 minutes from my house, so I didn't have any time off. But I would get up an hour earlier in the morning. I would answer emails. I would come home for lunch, which took 5 minutes here. I had an hour for lunch. I'd come home at lunchtime, and I'd do something on my business, and then I'd go back to work. So you carve out the time you have.
You were consistent.
Yeah, and you give up TV and stuff that doesn't matter. Who cares about TV these days? It's so bad. You give up things that don't matter when you replace it with time on your business. And that's it.
Cool. I hope everybody that heard that understands that. Just you're not giving up anything. You're investing in yourself and in your future by giving up TV. Well, thank you so much, Diane. If you would like some more information or speak to Diane directly, you may reach her at area code 813-987-2688. Once again, that is 813-987-2688. Or you may reach her at her blog, www.superteam.com. That's S as in Sam, U, P as in Paul, E, R, T as in Tom, EAM.com, superteam.com. Once again, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you again on the next call. For more exclusive MLM interviews on sponsoring, prospecting, marketing, and more, go to Richard DeHaven's MLMSuccessStories.com.